Hello, Gia, and welcome to the Make Life Rich movement. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Hello, thank you for having me. I was so excited.
Guys, I have been inappropriately stalking a young adult for quite some time now on Instagram. I have been getting constantly just more and more impressed with and obsessed with Gia, and I absolutely love the business that she has grown. So I'm so excited to talk to you today and kind of share your entire journey with the audience. Now, you started your company, Gia Taylor Cosmetics. I love that you named it after yourself. During the kind of beginning times of the pandemic when you were 17 years old. You're now 20 and
Yes.
you're going for your MBA in business management at Stockton. You are a freaking go getter, high achiever. You've done all of this while managing and maintaining a family life and like work and school. So I want you to know how special and how hard that is because you're young and like, it just feels like it's what happens, but you are crushing it and I'm so impressed with you and I can't wait for you to just share all the business tidbits and the behind the scenes. So, all of that is to say I'm obsessed with you. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much for that lovely intro.
So, tell us a little bit about what led you to just create your very first lip gloss. You are a cosmetics company. You are the queen of gloss. You call yourself the gloss boss. You're in your gloffice right now, which I'm obsessed with. But what led you to creating your very first lip gloss?
So, just in general, I've always been like on the creative side. I am an only child and I am the least amount athletic. Like, I am not coordinated at all. So, I was never really outside doing things. I just wasn't able to. I just can't do that stuff. So, I was always inside doing so many arts and crafts of everything like painting, drawing, the little bracelets, you name it, I was doing it. And I would go outside to my family yard sales and I would go to small little vendor shows and I would sell them to my friends and family. No matter what I was doing, I was just always into something at the moment and very into it. And when COVID hit, the thing that I was getting into was lip gloss making. Now, I was 17 at the time, and I had just been seeing a lot of people on TikTok was just starting to really gain popularity at that time. And you see people on YouTube, even on Instagram, like on the Explore page and on Reels. And I was just seeing other people doing it, and I did not have intentions of turning it into a company at the time. It was just another one of my little hobbies to pass time. But when COVID hit, I always say that COVID was like a magnifying glass on people's hobbies. Like, if you were a reader, you probably read more books than ever during COVID, and I think that goes with everyone's hobbies. So when I was doing lip gloss, all I had was time on my hands to really sit down and do it. So I took a lot of time really looking into and researching the different ingredients that go into it, what big brands use, what they don't use, what these startups are using, what makes these formulas different than those ones, and researching different companies and where they come from and like the values that they hold in relation to the ingredients that they use. So I just thought it was a really interesting and it's a really big industry and there's so many different ways that you can go about creating things. So our
Mm-hmm.
company, I value it to be vegan and cruelty free, and it's just so interesting seeing what you can create while using products that value these ethics. And then it's like sometimes you are wondering like why others don't, and it's just a really big interesting thing to like see all these different things that you wouldn't know about. Like if I didn't have that lockdown time, I would have never known about any of the actual like ingredients or science behind it. Just would have been another project.
Wow, I love it. So you've always had a creative marketing like based brain, it seems, which I'm sure is what led you to deciding for an MBA in business management.
Yeah.
Did you take, all right, well, let's stick on this topic. So you made this first gloss. Were you like, okay, this is good? Like, did you make enough of it that you were gifting it to friends, like giving it out? Were you getting feedback on like, were people obsessed with it instantly?
So I mean, it was for the first like few, it was just for me and like my mom would try it out, my grandmom would try it out. But what really pushed me to the next level was when I did a very small local vendor show. It was actually hosted by my aunt. She was like, "Hey, I know you're doing this now. You want to come over and set up a table?" And that's what really pushed me to the next level because at this time I just found the formula that I liked. It wasn't sticky, it wasn't gummy. It you could actually smell the scent that I was trying to make it smell like instead of smelling, say, avocado oil is one that I was trying out, and you would smell the avocado avocado oil. So that's why you don't see that in our current formula. I use coconut oil. It doesn't hold as much of a scent to it. So that is
Mhm.
when I really like locked down my formula, and I brought it to this vendor show, and I only had maybe like a dozen of them with me. And my name wasn't even on the tubes. I didn't have business cards. I just had a table in this vendor show, and everyone bought all of them. I mean, all of them was only 12, but it was people that I didn't know. It was just people from my community, and they weren't buying it because they were my friends or because they were my family. They were just buying it because they liked the product in front of them and what I created. So that's what really like clicked in my brain to be like, wow, like there is something here that people do want. So that's what really
Mhm.
pushed me to keep going, is seeing these, I want to say random people, but they're people from my community, but people I don't know
Mhm.
really valuing products that I made.
Ah, I love that. So you kind of were met with instant feedback from your audience in a way that led you to think, why not? Like, let's
Yeah.
make some more. Let's see if I can sell some more. So, did you make the same batch again, or were you like, I want to branch out now? Like, I want to make this scent, or I want to make this color. Like, where did it kind of evolve to where you were like, well, I guess I should have two or three different flavors or shades? Like, how quickly did you become like obsessed with this to the point of making product lines?
I think it was right around Christmas time is when I was like obsessed, and I was like, I'm not gonna stop. Like, I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna keep going with this because I want to do it now. Because at
Mhm.
first it was really fun. One of our first flavors was like the birthday cake or cherry, and these are scents that you can get at most stores, or you can look it up and find a birthday cake or a cherry lip gloss.
Mhm.
I mean, I thought mine was unique, of course, because I tried to make it as unique as possible, but the scents are kind of basic in the cosmetics industry. But around Christmas time is when I was like, I like peppermint bark. Let me see if I can make a peppermint bark lip gloss. I've never seen one of those. You can go to pretty much any store, you don't find one of those. And
Mhm.
I did. You can use chocolate, you use peppermint oil, you use vanilla for sweetener. There are so many things that you can mix around with, and really, you have to look into it to make sure that you can, and you need to find the right
Mhm.
balances. But once you find out like the science behind it and how to mix these ingredients together, it is so fun, and you genuinely can create like anything you want. And that's when I started doing crazy ones like sugar cookie or snickerdoodle or peppermint bark. The Christmas ones is when I was like, wow. And from there on, I've really done a lot of fun things for the holidays because everyone can kind of smell it, and it brings you to that holiday, and it really hits on
Mhm.
like your feelings a little bit because it makes you think of that holiday instead of just like, oh, that's a fun
Mhm.
gloss. So I like the
I
holiday ones a lot.
I love that so much, and you've touched on it now, so we'll bring it up. Your seasonal kits. You are now at the present place in your business where you are dropping seasonal lip gloss kits. So your most recent one was the anti-Valentine, which you've already sold out of pre-Valentine's Day, correct?
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
so
I'm
cool,
so
so
thankful for
crazy.
that.
Yes, it's awesome. Your audience, your customers are dedicated, and that speaks a lot to your creativity, what you've put into the product. Your branding is stunning. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, it's just you've really done the homework and you've put in the blood, sweat, and tears, and I'm sure you were feeling this success before, but this is literally just the beginning for you and your brand. It's so exciting to talk to you at this time because it's definitely you're on the cusp of really rolling into absolute insane success. Like people are going to be knocking on your door, girl, to buy this company out from you. Like
Thank you.
it's in the future. But let's talk about what goes into the thought process, the creation process of creating these one-off kits or your holiday kits. Are they always based around a holiday, or do you kind of like just decide you're going to put out a funky new like set of colors or something themed? How does that work for you?
It really depends. Again, it's me coming up with all of these different flavors, so it's these random things pop up into my head, and I'm like, ooh. So if I can make it fit into a holiday, I might wait out on it a little bit and make it fit into that holiday because I think more people would like that. Like if I was like, oh my goodness, I love sugar cookies, I'm gonna wait until Christmas time because launching a
Mhm.
sugar cookie gloss at the cusp of summer is like, it would be good, but it would be so much better for Christmas time. So it depends
Mhm.
what the flavor is, but like one that we just thought of was cake pop. I was genuinely eating a cake pop and I was like, this is so good. And this cost me like what, $4? I was like, mm. So I was like, I need to make this into a lip gloss so I can at least smell it for not $4 each time. So that's what I did. Literally that day, I went to my office and I started formulating the best I could for it to smell like a vanilla cake pop. And I made it pink and shimmery. And I put little artificial sprinkles in there so it looked like a cake pop. And that, I mean, I had already launched my Valentine's Day and it doesn't really go with like St. Patty's or like Easter necessarily. So I do just launch it randomly if it's not something that like would fit into a designated thing. Like when you think of it, if you don't think of a specific holiday, I just kind of launch them randomly. Like we have one that was inspired by Nutella. It's chocolate and hazelnut flavor. It's so good. I know. So we just launched that one just randomly. It doesn't we don't go with holidays all the time unless that flavor makes you think of it. Like we're doing Lucky Charms flavor and that is I know I'm really excited for her too, but that of course would really go well with St. Patty's Day, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hold out a little bit and that'll be part of the St. Patty's Day one, and I think it just adds a little more like fun to it because if there's just random ones here and there it doesn't really add like that like sense of specialness to each gloss, whereas like when you whip out your Lucky Charms gloss you're like, this was part of the Lucky collection, I got this for St. Patty's Day, and it's just like it's more fun that way, I think. So it depends on the flavor.
I love that. I think it's also really cool that while you're getting your MBA in business management, I would imagine you're learning a ton about sales and marketing and how to kind of create opportunities for yourself to have both being in like a symbiotic relationship where one is fueling the other. And your kits, they're limited edition. They are absolutely completely different than anything you have on your regular list of lip glosses and lip products available. And your branding and the way in which your customers use your product to make content is so beautiful and so insane. You couldn't pay people to make the genuine, authentic content of them using your lip gloss and like literally being in love with it. It's it doesn't escape me that like you have created the perfect container for your audience to grow up alongside your products as well. So you've got that built-in audience that started young with the gloss. Now you've expanded to the lip liners, which might be a little bit older of a makeup product that, you know, like a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old really wouldn't be using too much. So you've thought about every single little piece of it. Can you tell me about adding to the line with something that's a little bit more elevated in age, like the lip liner pencil? Um, where did that fit into your product suite? And was it a purposeful decision to make something that would go a little bit more with a lipstick in the future or a heavily colored gloss?
So honestly, the thought of the lip liner is I have older customers who have like the lines around their lips or their lips aren't as plump as they used to be. And when you apply lip gloss, it bleeds sometimes into these lines of the lips. So it's hard to explain unless you're literally looking super closely. But when you are that person, you do see these things happening and it's just a confidence thing. So you see that gloss bleeding in the lines around the lips. So when you have a liner on, it's not as a liquid consistency. You would know the consistency of a lip liner. It's more of a like a creamy, thicker one. It's not like liquid. So when you line your lips, that creates a barrier for when you put your gloss on, so it prevents that bleeding. So I did have more of the older audience in mind. I don't want to say like old because again, I literally have it on right now. But I did have that in mind, more of like a solution to a problem that some of my customers have with the lip gloss. Not that it's the gloss's fault, it's just that for them, it would really boost their confidence that it didn't do that. So I was really happy to introduce them, and that's why when you look at the wide array of the products that or the like, shades that I did for the lip liners, there are tons of different ones, including like a bright pink and like a purple, shades that you don't typically see in a lip liner because we make some gloss that you don't typically see. So I want to kind of have shades that match those different glosses. So the I did like it for cosmetic purpose, but I also really brought them in because I have a lot of people saying that that happens to them. And we have a lip plumper that does help with those lip lines and fills them in a little bit, but not everyone wants to apply a plumper and then apply a gloss and then keep going so it stays plump. So this liner kind of creates a barrier for them to just apply their lip gloss and keep that confidence that it's not bleeding out of the lip line.
Oh, thank you for explaining that. You just opened up a totally different channel of purpose and function for your
Thank
product that a little too far removed from using gloss every day. Like I'm 38, I'll be 39. If I put anything on my lip, it's either like a clear gloss, although I need to get my hands on your lip glosses ASAP, but I'll wear a clear gloss every day just to have it on, but I've never really considered the bleeding issue because I don't have that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that it was something that you were able to not only think about, but adapt to fit your current product line with the color scheme, as well as give them the correct formulation that they need to be able to keep that barrier in place throughout their day until they're ready to reapply. But wow, I'm obsessed with you. Gloss boss indeed. Holy
Thank
shit.
you.
I love you. Okay. So I would love to talk about formulation. How, or rather, we'll call it product fulfillment, filling these glosses. What was the learning curve? When did you start buying tools to kind of help you because you were selling out quicker than you could fulfill? Tell us all about where you started and kind of how you've evolved with machinery, the lovely people that you have working with you. Fill us in on all of the goods.
It was definitely way different in the beginning. Again, it started as a hobby and I was 17, so of course living at my parents' house still, I was in high school. So when I was filling them, I would watch these videos of people filling them and you use a syringe to fill it, and that makes sense looking at the bottle. But when you do that, it doesn't like get into the bottom of the gloss tube and it would just be at the top and make a ginormous bubble at the problem. And I remember being so frustrated, being like, why does this work for them? Why can't I do this? And it took me like several weeks, like a very long time, to realize that you get like an extension for the syringe. If you don't
Mm.
like use a syringe, I know it's hard to imagine, but you basically use like a pipette with no dropper on the end and no funnel. It's just like a long tube, and you put that onto the syringe, and that allows you to get into the bottom of the tube and slowly fill it
Mm.
up from the bottom up so there's no bubbles in there. But there were so many glosses that I genuinely would put a little bit in and then fling it in the bottom and then put a little bit in and fling it to the bottom, and it would take me so long to fill these by hand. And I was like, I don't understand how they're doing this. I was like really determined to get these filled, and it was just so
Mhm.
bothersome until I finally caught on. It took me a very long time to see how they were doing it. So once I figured that out, it was going pretty quick because I didn't need to sit and fling each one by hand anymore. I was able to fill it properly. I know it was so ridiculous thinking back to it. I couldn't even fathom. But again, this was when my name wasn't even on the tubes yet. I would just buy them by the half dozen or by the dozen, and it was just a hobby. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, that is how it started. It was extremely slow, and I remember my mom coming in and being like, "You're doing something wrong," and I was like, "I know." Like,
Help
I know.
me.
Yeah. So once I figured it out, it went a lot smoother. And that is when I was able to create more and then sign up for bigger vendor shows and have a wider display. And then from vendor shows, that's really where I got my ability to start getting my name printed on tubes because I could save a little bit of that. Of course, it cost me money to make the products for the show, but I could save a little bit that I made to then purchase my first order of my tubes with my name on them. And that
Mm.
was very exciting, but it was also overwhelming because I used to order them by the half dozen or the dozen, and these little boxes would come in, and I'd be like, yay! And now here's this big crate with 300 tubes in them, and my name is on them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're literally screaming at me. My name is on them. It was really, really overwhelming at first, like the size of it and like what I
Mhm.
really had cut out for me, and I was like, did I do this? But I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna do it. And I remember when that first box came in, I sat and looked at all the vendor shows in the area within an hour. And I was like, "Hey, will you accept me? Will you accept me?" And it's actually kind of hard to get into those things if you don't have a background to you. I mean, I didn't really have my social media built up well. I was still in high school. I didn't have my business license yet. It was pretty hard for me to find shows that would accept me. But there are
Mhm.
little ones here and there, and that really helped. And again, as it grew, I was able to then place another order of 500 tubes. But it wasn't until maybe I was 19, like very recently, that I bought a machine. Those machines, they're pretty expensive, but honestly, the hardest part about those machines is the cleaning aspect. To clean one
Mm,
of them, it takes 2 hours, and it's like the amount of, yeah, it takes two whole hours to clean them to completion. So it's like the time that you would save by using that machine as opposed to hand syringing it, does it really save you 2 hours? That's like the catch, because the syringe you need
yeah.
to keep refilling, whereas the machine, it's endless. It just keeps going. So you really, I was like, I don't even think I'm ready to make this. I don't make that much lip gloss. Like, I
Hmm.
don't make the size to really validate spending 2 hours cleaning it. I don't even have enough gloss to pipe for 2 hours.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
had the machine for a very long time before I actually made it because again, that was one of those things that just came to my doorstep and I was immediately overwhelmed by it. Like it was just
Hmm.
sitting there and I was like, I don't have the ability to make that much. I don't even have the outlet to sell that much yet.
Hmm.
Um, and that's when I was like, okay, well, I need to find this outlet to sell that much so I can make that much. Yeah, so that's why I was like, what are these people doing that I'm not doing? Because they can do it. I don't know why I can't. So then I saw it. They were posting every single day. They had higher quality videos. They had better voiceover mechanism. They had so much more social media presence than I had, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to post every day. And in all
Hmm.
honesty, I maybe posted like 3 or 4 times a week at first. It was hard because when I was starting, I didn't have those orders coming in. I didn't have those big batches that need to be made. So what content am I supposed to be making if I don't have
Hmm.
product or orders needing to be made and fulfilled? So it was really hard to even find the content to get those
Hmm.
orders in the first
Hmm.
place. So if you scroll down to years ago, it's like the most random things I was posting once a day, but that helped and it just reminded people like, "Hey, I am here.
Hmm.
Just popping up in your feed again. I am here and I'm trying." And I'm showing you guys that I want to do this. So that's it. Really, so very slowly took off that way. Just trying to post every day and reminding people like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm doing this." And then eventually, I got my first batch into that machine because I was like, "Okay, this is my best-selling gloss. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make a big batch." So I made a big batch and I put it in that machine and I got content made from it and I went live with it and I do very well with my lives. But yeah, it was definitely the content and the consistency in posting that like really was like able to get me to that level of making that much at a time instead of just making small batches. But yeah, it was a
Obsessed
very
with you.
big difference from piping on my floor to bubbles in them, trying to get it down, all the way up to using our machine and going live using the machine. It was a big step. And now we have three machines and we have another machine that helps put the stoppers on and it's I can have my friends come over and help me on different machines at once. So it's definitely a big step, but each step was very big.
Wow. It's incredible what you've been able to put together. I want to point out for you because it seems like you are just very confident in trying new things and figuring them out. You seem curious, you seem very driven, highly motivated. You know, you seem like you've got a lot of energy and you just get up and go. Wait, what sign are you? I'm
I'm in
curious.
Aries.
Oh my God. That makes a lot of sense. You're so creative. All the things are there. You did something that 99% of people starting a business don't do. And that is that when you came up against a literal in your face token of you leveling up to the next level that would require more learning, more dedication, more time, you expanding to sell more. All these things are super freaking frightening for grown adults that have the funding, they have the resources, they went to school 20 years ago, they've got all the stuff. And what you did that they don't do is you didn't back down. You looked at this as a fun challenge and you got to work. And that single part of you, that single characteristic of who you are, is going to carry you so far in life because there are people that have every single thing they could possibly need to have a perfect business, but they're missing that. And that's why they don't succeed. You are where you are today because of you and because of that decision to settle in the uncomfort instead of letting it scare you and stay small. Like, bravo, bravo. Grown
Thank you.
adults. Not to say that 20 is an adult. When I was 20, I thought I was an adult too, but I don't even think I'm an adult now and I'm 38. But There are 50-year-olds that physically cannot do what you have done. So I want everyone to sit and think about that. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have as a starter fund. It doesn't matter if you've got a built-in audience of 100,000 people. If you don't have that grit inside of you to look something scary in the face and say, we're going to be friends. You just don't know it yet. Like, we're going to figure this out, and I'm not going to be afraid of you anymore because I got shit to do, and we got to get over this quick because you're just the very beginning of the thing that's in my way to me getting to what I want. So, Gia, bravo. Obsessed with you. Obsessed
Thank
with
you.
you.
I just have to add in something. Thank you.
No, please.
Um, yeah, I just wanted to add in something. My grandpa always told me to like be hungry, and I can always hear him in the back of my head being like, be hungry. And I used to be like really small and be like, what the heck? And then it finally hit me because he grew up very, very poor and he was always hungry for the next job or how to make this or whatever. And although I didn't deal with as many hardships as he has, I completely understand what he means. And that is always in the back of my head as like a driving force for my company and to never settle at where we're at. I am so content with my Valentine's collection, but the day that that launched, I was already working on the next one and I'm working on the summer one. You want to always stay hungry. Like I do think of that every day and that is like you said the difference of having the ability to do it and actually doing it. You need to go out and be be there and be ready for the next step. Not focus on what you're doing right now, but look at what is in front of that step. And it was also, I was saying you were talking about the funding. It was very scary at the time because I was coming up on high school graduation and during COVID when everyone was like, "Oh, the world might end. Oh, the economy." Like it was a crazy time,
Yeah.
especially to be leaving high school and then going into college. And I was like, I don't, am I going to college? Am I doing this business? And like part of me was
Mhm.
like, fully pursue the business. Go for that. Like if you don't spend time on this, you're gonna miss out on this opportunity. You can always go to college. But then I did slightly. I kind of applied. They had that like Common Core thing where you could show like interest in the school.
Mhm.
So I showed interest in Stockton, and they had reached out, seeing what I had done, and they were like, "Hey, you should apply for a program." So had they not like reached out to me, I don't know if I would have applied. But that
Mhm.
being said, it also made me really almost want to put the business on the back burner because I was like, I now have to pay for school, and I have a car, but it's pretty bad. It's gone now, but it's pretty bad. Like
Mhm.
I have a lot ahead of me leaving high school, and it was so nerve-wracking to put money towards these things that it was uncertain. I was really
Mhm.
driven to make it happen, but there was nothing promising me that this would work out. Like opening different credit cards to pay for these orders and being late to school payments and buying books because I just spent my money on empty tubes. Like it was definitely a lot, and a lot of thought would race through my head of like, should I even be doing this? But that is
Mhm.
something that kept me going was him being like, be hungry. Like it's good to kind of like want for something because that makes you really, really act on it and really put everything
Yeah.
into it.
Ugh, man, I knew you were deep. I knew you were young, but I could tell you were deep. I'm a crier. You got me. Shout out to Grandpa. Shout out
I know.
to our elders, that pass on those really important things and they drill them in our heads when we don't understand them. And like, when the universe says it's time to go, that light bulb flicks on. You're like, that's what Grandpa meant. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
This has been in my head for forever. I understand now. I wonder. Man, you got me good. I wonder, for you to be so open about the financial place and where you were, I'll say this. I think college has outgrown its use for individuals that don't have the mental wherewithal and the emotional intelligence that you currently have. If you haven't been able to elevate from the child mind to one where you're going to really take what you're learning in college and make it work for you right now, and not have it be something in the future that it's like, well, I got this piece of paper. You really do have to go to college and have a plan in mind. And I think, in all honesty, the things that you are learning in school now are going to prepare you for when you're getting those meetings with Sephora. They're going to prepare you for those meetings where you're sitting down with a banking investor because you're ready to level up your production and you need a couple million in a loan, but you've got it because you learned statistics enough to be able to balance your books and manage your bottom line and understand how you can build your company each quarter because you grew your business lean from the beginning. Like all of these things you're learning in school, and not to school you because I know you're smart. You're taking what you're hearing and that night you're going home and you're implementing it in your business. I know this. And I know this because I see it. And we're going to get to the fact that you're in over 138 stores, 6 of which are out of the country. Okay, you badass. We're going to get to that in a second. I didn't forget about that. But I want you to know that a lot of people may snake you for saying, oh, you didn't need to go to college. You already have a business. You were of dual mind of understanding that you know that you're going to take what you're learning in school and you're going to make your business better with it. You could have taken the business route. It would have taken you 10 years maybe to learn through trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, the things that you're going to take in theory from your education and be able to implement immediately because that's how your brain works. I think what you did was so smart. I would encourage anyone thinking about going to school that also has an entrepreneurial mind, if you've already got something you've been working on, make sure that what you're doing in college is setting your business up for complete success. When you graduate, your business needs to be graduating to the point of success if it isn't there already, because you've been able to put in what you've learned. So I would love to know, what is the one huge thing so far that you feel like you've learned while at Stockton that has helped your business to either come together better, or you're, building that foundation a little stronger, or you've been able to, build out your marketing in such a way. What's been something that's really struck you and you've hit the iron and like made it a part of your business?
Um, I mean, all of the courses, I mean, of course, like there's the general ones, but honestly, their business courses are amazing. When I was going into it as a freshman, I was like, this is ridiculous. I have a business. I've done this. I've done that. Of course, I've only done it for a year and I was so naive at that. And I was like, this is a waste of my time. I don't feel like going. I'm paying this money. I'm doing this. But it was mind blowing because I would be in these classes, and while the assignments may be like easier to me than it would be someone else who hasn't worked on it firsthand, I still am learning and am still pushed with each thing. And it's like just taking stats was one of the hardest things I've done, but I love it and I genuinely use the Excel program every day in my company, and just taking a course simple as that has made so much of my business easier to handle. Had I not gone and done that, it would take me 10 times as long. As you were saying, I could still do it, but it would just take 10 times as long. And also in the marketing classes, it is really interesting because you look at the way that marketing has changed over the years, and the different like methods of marketing that were used and the current ones. And it really shows that you need to stay ahead of the trends and really, it's not just like, oh, put out, make this, make that. It's you need to take in what everyone around you is putting out so that way you can be on the same playing field. Because if you're just doing your own thing, that's great and you want to be unique, but you also want to be relevant to what's going on around you. Because if you're posting something that you just saw from 3 months ago, no one's going to really care. Today, it's really, trends are in and out very quickly, and you really need to be on top of them, if not a step ahead. So, marketing is not just about what you put out and the content you make, it's also absorbing and really understanding the content that is being given to you. So that way you can be on a level playing field with that. And another thing is connections are extremely important. And that's not something that you learn necessarily in the classroom, but the professors there are so smart and they're from all over the place and they have all so many different backgrounds, and I've made great connections with them. Like I'm setting up my payroll, and my one professor has owned 12 different businesses in Ocean City, and she's like, hey, reach out to this guy. And I'm working on trademarks, and my other professor used to work with the patent and trademark lawyers. So it's really interesting to meet all these different people, and it's a lot of resources that the university gives to you, and I don't think they give you enough credit for them because they're like, hey, here's your professor. But that's not just a professor, that's a ex 12-time business owner, that's a ex patent and trademark lawyer. Like there's people here that have so many resources and knowledge to them that they're just teaching to the curriculum, and unless you poke and pry at them and chit chat with them, you'll never know this information that they have, and it's really, really valuable. And I'm actually working. I was asked by the university to come work with them. They're trying to introduce an entrepreneurship degree in the university, and they asked for me. I know, I'm really excited. They asked for me to come help because they obviously work at a university and they all have their jobs, and many of them were not entrepreneurs. Some of them, of course, like the one who owned 12 businesses, she's on the board there. And she is one of the ones who invited me in to work with it. But they really want to see, what does a 20-year-old trying to make her business need? What do you need? Because we can throw these common courses at you and throw these books at you and these standard tests at you all we want, but what do you need to do your own thing? So I'm really hoping to work with them a lot and be like, oh, I learned so much from her other job, and she just had all this knowledge. So I'm really working with them to introduce these new topics and hopefully bring in an entrepreneurship degree to the university.
Oh my God, Gia. Gia the Gloss Boss. I'm obsessed with you. I'm gonna try to quit saying it, but I can't because I am. You are, I bet you hear from old people like me all day long. You're so awesome. It's amazing. And I'm sure it gets annoying, but trust me when I say you're gonna look back one day and be so impressed with yourself. So, as someone that I started my PR firm. I was young. I was 20 years old. I just graduated and I graduated into the recession, so there were no jobs. You have to in the one thing I never did was give myself credit in the moment for all the things I was doing that no one knew how to do. Nobody was helping me with. I had to figure it out on my own. I wish I would have taken more time to honor my wins, give myself a pat on the back, be proud of myself, really love yourself through all the cool shit you're doing because you're living an extraordinary life. You are 20 years old. This is like the coolest way to kick off being a young adult probably ever, and you're just getting started. The fact that you're in 135 plus stores worldwide is beyond impressive. I can't come up with a way to explain to you how cool you are without sounding like I'm going to abduct you after this interview, but let's talk about your 135 stores. 130, let me get my numbers right here. 131 of them are in the US, 5 in Canada, and 2 in Europe. I ripped these numbers from your website, so I hope that I've
Yes, yeah.
categorized them correctly. But, girl, tell me about building out your retail program.
So a lot of it I do on social media, and I go on Instagram, and literally it sounds childish, but you can look up like hashtag pink sparkle stuff or hashtag pink boutique, or all my brand is pink and sparkle, or you look up vegan grocery or vegan general store, these random things that you don't think of, but that'll bring you to these very small pool of posts being posted by these small boutiques. And they are just like me. They have their small store and they want to do everything they can to make their store thrive and carry products that their customers would like. So I'll reach out to them and I'll be like, hey, I have a small business. I would love to send you a sample or two. You can put it out at your front desk, see if it sells. If not, cool. If so, I have a wholesale website you can order from. I can shrink wrap them. They all have stickers saying what they are. You can price them at the price you want as long as I get what I want from it. And I really love working with these small businesses because they show me different ways to market my products. Like I've seen
Mhm.
them put it in a like cake trifle dish and the cupcake glosses in a cupcake tin and all these different things that I've never thought of, and it is just so cute. And I love making the connections with these business owners because they're like me. Most of them are like me. Many of the stores that I have are not chains. It's only just one pop-up and it's owned by one person or a family. And I love making these connections because again, it's all over the country. And I'm just like, hey, I'm going to Nashville for my birthday. I have a store out by Nashville. Let me visit. And then I stop by, talk to the owner, see the store. And it's just these connections that you have all over the place. And yeah, I'm not best friends with them, but it's just knowing that wherever I go, I kind of like can pop in or say hi or make these connections. And that being said, going back to how I found them, social media is a big thing like that because I am pretty busy. I don't leave all that much, but I do take a trip usually around my birthday, like spring break in March, and then around Christmas time, just for a week or so. And I travel by car across wherever I want to go. Last year, I drove all the way to Nashville, stopped in Knoxville, Asheville, Raleigh, all different places. This year for Christmas, we drove all the way down to Miami and we stopped in all different places there. And everywhere I stop, I walk in stores and I have these baggies pre made with some of my glosses in them, a business card, a breakdown of what I sell it for and the profit they can make, our different values, how to contact me, a copy of our insurance, because I know that's a big thing for these stores is you should be insured. So I want to show them that like, hey, it's not that random. It's just small. Um,
Mhm.
and I have these made pre-made and I walk in and I talk to them and I hand them out. So I definitely find them and they find me too, whether it be from our lives or just stumbling upon our website or I do a pop-up show and they're in town for vacation and they buy some things. So it goes both ways. But yeah, I definitely put my part in to find these different stores.
Wow. So you're basically guerrilla marketing in the best way possible using tech, which is
Yeah.
the old school way of doing it. That's literally some of the best ways to go about doing it is to do it the way it's always been done, and that is person by person, relationship by relationship. So I applaud you in that. I think it's really smart, and you're getting so much content out of what they're making for you. It is only providing you with the social proof and the testimonials that you need to just keep expanding and keep expanding. What does it feel like to not only be selling out on your own website and on Etsy, but what does it feel like to be in Europe, in Canada, and in 131 stores throughout the US? Like, what does it feel like? It's got to be
Um,
insane.
it's honestly, it's like surreal. Like sometimes I get these messages and I just need to like take a minute and be like, what? Like I need to like take a step back because I'll get these messages. Again, some of them are written in French, and I have to sit and translate them or whatever platform I'm in. Sometimes it does, but I need to sit and translate them. And it's not the store owner, it's some random person in France who just bought my product and loved my product and wanted to reach out. I know, wanted to reach out and say how much they appreciate it. And I'm like, France, like I couldn't even get there if I wanted to right now. How is my stuff over there? Like it is surreal. And again, it's all over the place. There's people New Orleans, you got LA, people in Alaska. I'm like, is that even where? Like it's just the most random places that I've never been to. Most of them
Mhm.
I have never been to the left side of the country myself yet. I say the left side as I don't know how to zone
We
it,
got
but
to we got to get over to the left side. We do.
yeah, I mean, I travel by car, so it's a lot of driving to get over
Far.
there.
It's far.
But yeah, these places that I've never been to, and it's wild to even fathom me going there. And my
Mhm.
product is not only there, but in someone's hands who is so happy with it that they take the time out of their day to reach out because I know that a lot of people receive the product either from me or from buying it in a store, but they don't take the time to reach out because you just don't think about that. You buy the product, you like it, you move on. A lot of people,
Mhm.
if they don't like it, they will reach out, they'll let you know. But it takes a lot for a person to take time out of their day to compliment somebody else. So it is really surreal, is the only way to describe it, that there's this person in somewhere I've never been and can't even imagine being taking time to compliment me on something I've made and it's all the way over there. So it's pretty crazy. And again, I have to translate some of the messages and they talk about shops that I have Google imaged hundreds of times and like have wanted to visit so many times. And they are there just every day getting their groceries or wherever it may be and they picked it up.
Ugh, you're so you're so cool. That's so cool. And I love that it means a lot to you. It's important that, you remember why you started doing this, and it was because people were loving what you're making and you made it for yourself and you love it. It's like I interview so many people here that created something that they needed or they wanted that they couldn't find, and it's always the ones that hit the ground running. And so many people are like, "Oh my gosh, I've been looking for this too. That's so cool. Thank you. I'm obsessed with you for life. I'm going to buy this for forever." And you've absolutely found your tribe and you found your community. It's an international one. At only 20 years old, you're going to be in 500 stores before the end of the year. I feel it in my bones. You're so cool, so successful at such a young age, and you haven't even graduated college yet. So I can't wait to see what is in store for you. I ask one last question. of everyone that comes on the show. Oh, wait. I love the fact that you included your cat butterfly in your branding. Very perfect. I'm a cat lady myself. Butterfly, perfect. And honestly, it fits your brand so beautifully. It's like, duh, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Obsessed.
We are obsessed with
So
him.
cute. So cute. Okay, so Gia, how do you make your life rich?
I think, wow, I wasn't prepared for that. I think you make your life rich by continuing to go for what you want, not for, oh, I need to get this job.
Amen, Gia. That was beautiful and so well said and so wise beyond your years. You've learned life's lesson right there. You are beyond rich in all ways that matter now. Money will always come and go, but to be fulfilled in what you're doing, as you exactly just said, is the true richness. So I think you figured it out, Queen. You're the gloss boss, and you walk and talk every bit of that. It's been a pleasure to speak with you, guys. Click the link in the show notes. You can follow on Instagram as well as go check out the website. There are so many products there that you just need to dive right into, fill up your cart, get all the glosses. You missed the boat on the Valentine's Day kit, but there will be plenty more. Gia is so creative and they are constantly coming out with new products. Get your hands on the lip liner. You're not going to be sorry. Thank you so much, Gia. Of course.